We'll call the Thursday, August 17th, 2023 board meeting to order. Roll call starting on my left, please.
Capel here.
Minter here.
Jumati here.
Cole here.
Bauerheit here.
Certify the posting of the meeting.
I certify that on Tuesday, August 15th, 2023, the agenda for the Town of Rome Board meeting for Thursday, August 17th, 2023 was posted at the Rome Town Hall at 3 p.m., posted at Quick Trip LLC at 3:10 p.m., posted at Nakusa Port Edward State Bank at 3:14 p.m., emailed to the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune at 2:59 p.m.
Okay. Item 4, we need approval of the agenda, please.
So moved.
We have a motion by Supervisor Bauerheit,
I'll second.
second by Supervisor Capel. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. We have one citizen comment card, so I'll read item number 6, citizen comments. During the citizen comment period of the agenda, the town board welcomes comment from any town resident, not a member of the town board, on any item not on the agenda. Please know that pursuant to state law, the board cannot engage in conversation with you, but may ask questions. The board may refer the item to staff, a standing committee, or a future board agenda for discussion and action. Each person wishing to speak will have up to 3 minutes to speak. Speakers are asked to submit a card to the clerk treasurer providing their name, address, and topic for discussion. The board will also take comment from the public on agenda items as called by the chair, but not during citizen comment. Please note that once the board begins discussion on an item, no further comment will be allowed from the public on that issue. We do follow Robert's Rules of Order, so once we do start our discussion, again, it's up to the chair to take additional comments or not. So we have one orange card.
Mark Lubecki.
Please come up, state your name, address. You have 3 items listed, but you have up to 3 minutes to speak. And our clerk treasurer will start the timer when you do.
Good evening. First topic I had listed there was regarding the Mark Lebecki, 931 Sussex Court, for the last 50 years. First topic was the agenda items, and I did not see Next Era listed on there at all. And if I'm not mistaken, judging from social media now, one of the biggest items happening in the town is Next Era. In my memory, it's probably the 3rd largest financial project that's happened to this town in the past 50, 55 years. The lakes, Sand Valley, and now Next Era Solar. It seems to me that it requires the attention of the board to get as much information as possible regarding it, to represent the voters or the taxpayers of this town. I also noted on there that we have a Chapter 360 zoning administration and enforcement. And in there, I can't quote verbatim, but it says something to the effect that the Lake District is the foundation of Rome's tax base. As such, it is a benefit to the welfare and quality of the life of this community to preserve property values as a priority. And I think that that responsibility falls to the board. According to social media, and it could be wrong, it sounds like the board may be pretty much in favor of Next Era. Judging by social media, it sounds like the people of the town want more information. And so I'm asking the board to poll the town or the Lake District at very least find out what the people want, and then ask the board to represent the people. Bill? I'm
I
yielding
have
the
a question,
floor.
Madam Chair.
Well, his time
His
isn't
time
up.
is-
He's got one thing he wanted, so you better hurry. You're running
You're
out of
almost
time.
done.
What do
That's
you want on
fine,
CDA?
that's fine. I made my point.
Mr. Lebecki, did you read the minutes of today's meeting, or last week, or last time's meeting?
I read the agenda,
Did
and I
you read
saw
the
that.
minutes?
Yes, I
asked you
did.
if
Yes,
you
I
read
did,
the
Bill.
minutes. You did, okay. Would you go back and reread them, please? And you will find an answer to your question that you raised tonight.
I did not really see any answers in
You
there,
didn't read the
Bill.
minutes.
Okay, we'll make a
There was
comment.
a statement made by the chairwoman at the beginning of last week, or 2 weeks ago meeting.
I'm well aware of that.
It stated that likely to be scheduled when presenters permit in late October.
There's a Freedom of Information Act where you can get more information from the county or the state about what's going on and what they might be doing for this township or not doing for this township. So yes, I did read the minutes, Bill.
Okay. Then you had your answer.
It really isn't an answer, Bill. It raises more questions than it answers. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other cards?
No.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on. No action contemplated except possible referral to future agendas. Number 7, informational updates, meeting recaps, recent correspondence, current events, and announcements. Starting on my left.
I just want to make sure that everybody watches for the green card. They should be arriving in their mailbox very soon. I received mine today. This is the long-awaited wake manipulation device input survey, and there's very explicit instructions on how to go about inputting your information. And I believe if you are unable to or are not electronically savvy, you can pick up a copy of the survey here at the town hall.
32 responses already.
I was one.
That's not bad.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Supervisor Minter.
So for any resident of Rome who's looking to get rid of old electronics, Emmanuel Lutheran Church up in Rapids is holding a free electronics recycling event on Saturday in the church parking lot. I believe it's from 9 until noon, although I see Administrator
I have
Gabriel's
2
nodding.
tubs.
Okay, 9 till noon on Saturday in the parking lot of the church up in Rapids at Emmanuel Lutheran. So old electronics, you can get rid of them on Saturday morning.
And you
wonder
don't
if
have
they
to be a
know.
resident?
No. I wonder if they know what they've gotten into. All righty.
I'll just say my IT department has been gathering.
Yeah, so is everybody. All righty, I have nothing. Moving on, Supervisor Cole.
I would like to let people know about an opportunity for a scholarship in the culinary arts program. So this is something that Visit Rome is sponsoring through Mid-State Technical. And if you're interested in a career and certification in culinary arts, which is a workforce development effort Visit Rome is putting forth for the town, to try to encourage more people to learn how to cook. Every place you go to needs a cook, needs a chef, needs somebody that knows. So far, I'm happy to report 15 people have signed up for that program. And then this is the second year of the program. If you come back now and you want to get tuition covered to further your career in that, you'll also be sponsored. And if you are sponsored for that portion of the program, you need to commit to work in the town of Rome for 1 year after your employment. So I'll share this with the clerk. If she wants to put it on the website or get more information, you can get it there. Or you can contact Visit Rome, which is a good segue. If you do want accurate information about what's going on in the town, please go to, I wrote it down
Visit
this
Rome or
time,
RomeWI.com.
but that's Visit Rome. Information about the town, you want to go to romewi.com. Anything about tourism, events, and so forth is visitromewi.com. Thank you, Bob. You know I stumble on that, so I appreciate it. And that's
Supervisor
it.
Bowerheit.
Yes, on September the 2nd, Draft and the Parks and Recreation is sponsoring a swap meet. This year we are including gardening tools as well as sports equipment. So you can drop stuff off on Friday before that Saturday or early Saturday morning for the swap meet. I believe the meet will be over with by noon. And then you can donate freely everything you have that you want to do, or if it's something that you want to keep ownership over, there'll be a 30% commission fee for Parks and Rec and draft. Also on the September the 2nd, Tri-Lakes will be hosting its annual meeting. I would encourage people to come. This is the first time that Tri-Lakes has come across a scientific-based application that will help materially clear up algae in the lakes. And we're currently running a trial of this procedure right now. It's called nanobubbles. And nanobubbles technology is very exciting to us, and it's the first thing that we've really run across that we think is going to be very helpful. Our scientific advisors, EOR, are on board with this procedure, and it's currently working right now. We just put it in this morning in the marina at Arrowhead, and just as a trial. So if the trial works well, we will have a proposal to do whatever parts of the lakes that we want to have done, which would probably be Camelot and Sherwood to begin with. So if you want to hear about nanobubble technology and the things that Tri-Lakes are doing, please come to our annual meeting.
So may I ask you a question on that? If you started it in the marina, would you expand it to Lake Arrowhead, the rest of Lake Arrowhead then, since it's the worst of the three?
It remains to be seen. I wouldn't characterize Arrowhead as being the worst of the three. I would think Sherwood would be.
Even with the recent alum treatment?
Yes. Well, not with the alum treatment, no, but I mean historically.
Okay. All right, thank you. And do you have an update on the band shell? I'd heard you said something, it's going to be later now than originally anticipated.
Oh, well, I wouldn't, I guess, take a guess as to when the bound shall be completed. It is moving along. The cabinets have been delivered over there. The washrooms are completed. The plumbing is complete for the most part. The electricity is complete, and the feed for the electricity was been put in, I think, today sometime. So that's done, but we need to have the mason come in and finish off the veneer and the capping of the stone. He's waiting for the stone to come, and then he'll be back for that. So, you know, optimistically, I would hope that it'd be done by October the 1st.
We need the countertops and the railing to come in yet, so we've just a couple finish items.
Okay, thank you.
I had a couple items.
Yes,
Madam Chair.
please, Administrator Gabert.
I just wanted to mention that our equalized value, TID values, and net new construction did come back finalized on August 15th. And items were not changed from the preliminary that you had received for August 1st. So you probably have documents that are marked preliminary, but those did come in as the finals on August 15th. If you noted when you came in, or if you saw on our Facebook page, we did release the brush and timber collection dates for September and October for the east and west sides of town. There are colored copies of that if you would like to take a colored copy on your way out, but we're sharing those dates and have sent them besides our social media and Facebook also to the 3 major property owners associations here in town for inclusion in their newsletters. August 22nd, Tuesday, August 22nd, don't forget, is our community engagement session for the court plan, for the comprehensive outdoor rec plan. We had 157 people complete online input surveys for that session. But input can still be taken that night too. It starts at 6 p.m. And I know I had given you a tentative date for Board of Review that is confirmed for Wednesday, October 18th, and it will be all day here in this room. So if you can just make sure to hold all day on October 18th. We may also tentatively hold the 19th, just depending on the number of hearings that we have, but it will for sure be all day the 18th.
So 2 days will still be the
We're just-
most.
We'll hold it, but yeah, we'll.
Okay, all right. Is that it, everybody? Okay. Moving on to item number 8, department and committee reports. Does anybody have any questions, starting on my left?
I had one, and I might be able to answer it myself, but when I was looking at the EMS report, they had 34 instances of a 911 call, but when you flip it over to the back and they give the times of the calls received, there's only 32. Is that because 2 of them didn't materialize into dispatches?
have been disregard or null calls.
Okay,
That's what I
that's
anticipated.
what I anticipated, but I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah, and the last page usually has what are the null calls that on this last report, so I was just looking to see if it had it on there.
They usually nulls because they're recalled from dispatch or something.
Or they, determined that they didn't need the
'em.
ambulance.
Okay. That's all I had, Madam Chair.
Anybody else?
I would just point out if you take a look at the Rome Police Department report, they've got reminders in there about watercraft usage and speeds of operation. Since this has seemed to be a problem that comes up, they are issuing citations on the water, but it's just reminding you, state law prohibits boat and watercraft operation at a speed faster than slow no wake within 100 feet of any dock or pier. Also prohibits personal watercraft from traveling faster than slow no wake within 200 feet of shore. So, you can look at that in the packet, the Rome Police Department report, and it also cautions you about setting off fireworks. So as much as fun as that might be, you might get a ticket. Well, they would like to give you a ticket for it if you do it, so anyway.
We're doing the Roam Safely Wednesdays, so every Wednesday on Facebook is another Roam Safely message. So I encourage you to, if you're social media users, to share that message.
Which those are all really good, well-done flyers. I have a few, unless Supervisor Bauerheit, did you have any questions?
No, I have none.
Okay. I did have some on the administrator report. Excuse me, we had, under public safety, we had discussed boating regulations enforcement on the 17th, but then there's also a meeting listed on the 17th for myself and, Attorney Flanagan's not on that one, but I think that might be a duplication. But then there was also, I think you had a meeting with Supervisor Bauerheit on the 19th, because I was here on that day as well. So I think we might want to just adjust your meeting dates on that, on your July calendar. On the back, on Timberline Parkway Extension, I had a question on the engineering. It says 66% done. What additional engineering do we have yet?
They will follow the installation of that water main through.
Okay,
They will be the on-site overseer of the
so
installation.
there's additional actual engineering.
They need on-site oversight. So they'll be making sure that the contractor fulfills their contract, that Allen Steel fulfills their contract of putting in the water main to the specifications.
Okay, all right.
And they'll sign off on those invoices, similar to how our architect signs off on the invoices for the band shell.
Okay. Then I had a question on the fire department, under fire and rescue for July 23, total calls, for July, 9 and 7 standbys. If we could just get a clarification on that, which is, what's 9 and 7, if it's, what's what there? Maybe we can get that in the future from the fire chief. And then down under special events, Adams on Fire, Northwater Trail Neighborhood Parade. Do we have, I was looking back through the minutes. I don't know that we approved some of these as special events, or if we were doing these as a courtesy. Can we get some numbers on what those events cost us as far as staff?
Yep.
Great, thank you. I had the same question on the EMS, but that made sense. And the other one, I'm good to go. So if we have no other questions on reports, I think we can move on. I should give you this back. You need this. That belongs to you. All right. Discussion and possible action on the following items. Number 9, discussion only, presentation of Vibrant Spaces Grant Award Plaque by Melinda Osterberg, Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. Hello.
Can I come up to the podium?
Oh, yes, okay, I'll be quick. So thank you so much for your submitting and receiving a Vibrant Spaces Grant Award. Just to refresh, this was for Rome Town Center for the Pavilion Development. I drove by there on my way here this evening, and it's beautiful. Looks like it'll be near done soon. So WEDC did support that with a...
Thank you.
Yes, we got your resolution acknowledging our contribution, and we definitely appreciate appreciate that. So I do have a plaque here to present to you. It is intended to go on the building. It is pretty sturdy, so if you can find a space for that, we certainly would appreciate it being there.
Awesome.
But you guys should be very proud of Rome Town Center. It's one of my favorite developments in my region, which covers a half dozen counties here in the central part of the state. I think it's just an absolutely wonderful example of what small towns can do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you, and thank you for coming and introducing yourself this
Yes.
evening.
Yes. Jamie's wonderful, and she's been a great resource, at least on my end, so I hope the same is true for you.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for your grant.
Oh, yes.
Item number 10, discussion and action. Approval of the August 3rd, 2023 meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve as presented.
Second it.
Do we have any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, discussion and action. Checks, vouchers, receipts, and journal entries. Approved checks number 45506 through 45597, totaling $426,357.75. Auto payments totaling $118,765.49. State Social Security Medicare withholdings totaling $40,081.79. Payroll vouchers V20759 through V20892 totaling $107,701.12, and check number 21662 totaling $27.70. Receipts number 24843 through 24233 totaling $1,983,287. Let me read that again. $1,983,287.60. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve checks, vouchers, receipts, and journal entries as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Supervisor Bauerheit and a second by Supervisor Minter to approve the checks, vouchers, receipts, and journal entries as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Just would mention to the board that your budget detail is also included in the packet as it is every month, and you're at 55.57% of budget, so you're doing well.
Item number 12, discussion and possible action, approval of recommendation from the Plan Commission regarding consideration of a site plan of operation for Tiffany Savecki for the property located at 335 State Highway 13, located in Section 17, Town 20 North, Range 06 East, Town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a parcel number of 030-00793-0010.
I'd like to move approval of the site plan of operation for the site.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Supervisor Capel, second by Supervisor Bauerheit, for the approval of recommendation from the Plan Commission regarding the consideration of a site plan of operation for Tiffany Savecki for the property at 335 State Highway 13. Any discussion?
Madam Chair, if I could,
Yes.
just for the record, just a note that the Plan Commission did review this item at its August 8th, 2023 meeting, where a public hearing was also held, after which the Plan Commission did make the recommendation to approve the site plan of operation. I believe a findings of fact is also included in your packet for your review. Thank you.
Any discussions or questions? No? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 13, discussion and possible action, approval of resolution number 23 a preliminary resolution declaring intent to exercise special assessment powers under Wisconsin State Statute, Section 66.0703 and Section 45, Article 2 of Town Code for completion of paving work at 304 Matterhorn Trail, parcel identification number 030-01136-05 89.
Madam Chair, could we please ask that the motion would include the time frame and scope of the project, because there are two indicated in the memo.
Do we want to,
Maybe a better way of doing that is just to reference, because it's in the resolution, so I think it's important just to make you aware of what that resolution covers, and to that point, where in the resolution it's referencing those components. So if I may, Madam
yes,
Chair, just
please
an
review with
overview.
us.
So you do have a request in your packet from the Up North Brew Crew to do paving as a special assessment to their property located at 304 Matterhorn Trail. We've done special assessments with paving before, so some of you are familiar with that. Those that are not, just understand that this is a preliminary resolution to start the process. It still would have a public hearing. It would still have a final resolution. The preliminary resolution does have a couple key pieces, particularly for this request. I just want to draw your attention to those pieces. You'll see two options that are requested by the requesters. The one that is built into the resolution that's before you is the higher of the two. So there's a higher quote that is for paving a 8,703 square foot area with the request to have that special assessment then over 10 annual installments. The other option that they proposed would be for a smaller area, that being 7263 for square footage over a requested period of 7 years. Again, the resolution that you have before you, the preliminary resolution, is drafted for that higher quote. If you look at the number 1A, you'll see that references the larger square footage area. And if you look at 5A1, you'll see it's proposed as 10 annual payments. So again, this has been drafted at the higher level. In the event that you were to decide at the other option, it can be easily amended if you needed that and built that into your motion. But I just wanted to draw your attention to where in that resolution it's referencing and which option it's referencing.
Did the previous request go through a similar process with a preliminary resolution?
Yes.
They did.
Any special assessment would be, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion?
I'd like to move approval.
I'll second,
Move approval as
as presented
To
for
the
the higher
preliminary
amount for
resolution.
10 years, yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion by Supervisor Capel and a second by Supervisor Cole for the larger square footage of 8,703 square feet. Okay. Any discussion? Any questions?
the owners are here too, if you had any questions.
Did you folks want to say anything, or you're all set? Okay. All right. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So can you just give us, as a follow-up then to that motion, can you just give us a time frame then as to what they can expect for the next part of this process to take place?
Sure. So I have already provided, I believe, a draft notice. We'll get that notice published, and then within the statutory timeframe, we will set a public hearing along with your final resolution for consideration. Those usually come at the same meeting, so we're probably looking within 1 or 2 months. I think 2 months timeframe to get that then considered and approved.
We're looking at another 2 months.
We need to. I don't know how long it takes to publish it.
If publishing could happen, I mean, if that could be released tomorrow, I think we might be able to get it done by the 7th, unless,
Okay, then, yeah, then it's, so we'll make sure that, I mean, it'll be as fast as we can.
Yeah.
I mean, we will follow statutory guidelines as we always have, and.
Correct.
It won't be
Understood.
any longer than that, but it'll likely be shorter than that then.
I just see that it's been out there for a while, so we just want to act on it as quickly as we can for them. Thank you very much. All right. Item number 14. Discussion and possible action Announcement of Free Riders Weekend at Syracuse Recreational Area, August 26th through the 27th, 2023. Do you have a motion?
Move to approve the announcement of the Free Riders Weekend for August 26th, 27th at the Syracuse Recreation Area.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Minter, a second by Supervisor Cole. Discussion?
I would just suggest that on the flyer itself, that the top sentence be removed and it just say, join us Saturday, the 26th and 27th.
Okay, point taken.
Not drawing attention to the fact that the trails are closed, and there are people that might come to this that wouldn't really even know what you're what that's referencing, that trails are closed. That's kind of a local thing. If we're trying to bring people in to try the park, I think if it's just join us, those 2 days would be
Well, the point
good.
is well taken. It was just trying for people to understand, but I see what you're saying. It might draw the attention to but it was a community courtesy, but it draws it, yes, I see what you're saying. So it probably would be best to move that statement.
This is the first time, too, that we've had a free ride weekend at Syracuse. Is that true?
Likely so, yes.
Or that could be moved to the bottom or something. If you want to have that statement, I just wouldn't lead with it.
That's a good point. And some of the yes, good point. Well taken. So we can make that change to the flyer and,
We're just taking out the first sentence then.
or as Supervisor Cole suggested, maybe, at the bottom, whatever you feel you want to do with it. Any additional discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 15, discussion and possible action. Review of the Civitech Consulting LLC scope of work for the zoning code audit and code revisions. Oh, I think I have one wrong. Do we have a motion?
Again, Tim is on the phone with us if there are.
Oh, is he there that we can, well, I'll move that we have a review of Civitech Consulting LLC scope of work for the zoning code audit and code revisions as discussed at our last meeting.
So when you say zoning code audit and revisions, do you mean the reboot or the rewrite or just the audit?
Well, the scope of work for the code revision, the audit and revisions, but I think we're talking about solely work moving forward with the audit. As we talked about for the funding in the next item. Isn't that what's in our minutes? We'd have to go back and,
The proposal just also includes those code revisions, and I'm not sure if we had identified that we needed or wanted a reboot or a rewrite, because they're different pricing, so I just wanted to clarify, is the motion just for the code audit?
it would be for the code audit at this time, only the code audit. Thank you for the clarification. That's correct. My motion would be just for the code audit at this time.
I'll second the motion.
So we have a
And then I-
motion and a second for the use of Civitech Consulting LLC scope of work for a zoning code audit. Discussion?
Could I ask when the amount is paid? Is it paid upon completion of the audit?
Tim, did you hear the question?
Jim, are you there?
Can you hear you?
So we can do a 50% complete and then 100% complete or else we can just do 100% complete if that's your preference. Either or would be fine.
And Tim, could you clarify your timeline? I know that it's 3 months to completion, but when does 3 months start?
So we had talked about kind of starting after the first year.
Okay, so this one wouldn't come until after January 1.
Correct.
I'd suggest that completion because it said not to exceed a cost of $4,800, so we wouldn't know exactly what 50% was. I mean, we could guesstimate 50%, but if you'd be willing to accept upon completion, then we'd just know what it was and one check when it was done and approved. And then what type of report do we get from this audit? I mean, I guess I'm just trying to look at this. So it's a report and then recommendations of what to do next, if anything? Written report.
Well, first of all, if we might just,
Send the report.
Attorney Flanagan raised his hand.
Oh, sorry.
Only just to agree with Supervisor Cole, I do think, given that we are talking about a single ordinance that also does reference back and forth, there's really, it's hard to say that there's like a 50% level necessarily, as much as to get that final complete product with whatever that report would be. So I realize that's the follow-up question, but I would agree that at the 100% rate level, since we are just talking one ordinance.
That sounds good. And then we have this page here, page 1 and page 2 from Civitech Consulting Zoning Code Audit, if Tim wants to speak to it. As requested, I've prepared a general scope of services. 2 distinct tasks are proposed, but part 1 is what talks about the zoning code audit, so if he wants to speak to it more specifically. Tim, can you hear us?
Audit.
Oh, there he is.
Yep. Yep. So basically, the audit, again, is going to be an in-depth investigation and review of your current code and your current practices. And, there's just a general sense that, you've got a really good code, but, some things might not be working well, or they could be working better. Potentially some things are missing. So the intent of the audit is to kind of, go to the doctor's office, so to speak, on your zoning code, and there will be a written report that will identify general and specific recommendations in terms of what the findings are. And then, all this is leading to is a basis for deciding if the code needs to be, tweaked or rewritten. And we won't know that until, we're actually done with the audit.
I can see we're on the one reference we did receive from the administrator from town or village of Richfield in Wisconsin. Has your municipality completed a zoning code audit or rewrite with Civitech? He said yes. I could speak for hours about the night and day difference between our old and antiquated code versus the one we have now. I love it. It provided us, but it has also provided us an opportunity to be more transparent with our operations, deliver clear expectations, and communicate difficult information, mostly jargon-free. I can't say enough good things about our code. It was most previously last codified in 1983, and we've made several dozen changes since the last time. And he says more about the code being rewritten. I think it'll definitely be beneficial to however we redo that department, as well as the Plan Commission. Jamie, as she works with different people that come in and talk about economic development and planning, and then just making Planning Commission decisions, as well as zoning code enforcement, zoning code, not nuisance, but zoning code. But Attorney Flanagan, would you have anything to add as far as Plan Commission or how it would benefit?
Well, I would just maybe only make the comment that this was reviewed with Plan Commission, and I think was received with support from the Plan Commission as to the benefit that was discussed, and I think was discussed also at the last meeting.
We had
Tim's gonna join
discussed-
the next Plan Commission meeting to show a demo.
Good point.
Pardon?
So a representative from Civitech will also be joining the next Plan Commission meeting as well, just for those that are listening as well, to receive kind of an overview of what this looks like and maybe the plan, both for, can cover some of the code audit maybe steps, but also for Zoning Hub again. So I think Plan Commission is also going to see a demo of Zoning Hub.
So do we know when it would start, if it's approved?
I believe he said first of the
Did he
year.
say that already? I'm
First.
sorry.
After the first of the year.
After the first year, okay.
And it would take, what, 3 to 4 months, I think you said,
Yes.
3-month completion.
right? Is there anything specific, Supervisor Cole, you'd want, that you thought of?
No,
You'd
not
like
with
spelled
this. No, not with this.
out? Okay.
Do you wanna amend the motion on the floor to say that payment would be made at when 100% complete, just so that's clear?
Or that we want to do 50 at some, how did he say that again? I'm sorry, like
No, we-
50 when he's partially through, or,
We
Right.
decided, or we kind of talked through not to do that, just to pay the entire amount at the end.
okay. Do you want to add that? Do you want to,
Yeah, I
It was
would,
Bill's motion.
I'll agree if you want to amend the motion to include that.
okay,
That'd be a one-time payment as, when the product is completed.
okay. So the first and the second has been amended to pay in full upon completion of the zoning code audit. Is there any more discussion? Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Tim, for joining us this evening.
2 more agenda items,
We've
don't
got
hang up.
more.
Yeah, don't, I mean, but don't, yeah, don't hang up on us, but thank you for helping explain it through.
I'm still here, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, number 16, discussion and possible action. Approval of the use of ARPA funds for the zoning hub site with Civitech Consulting LLC. Jamie? Oh,
Was it-
well, do we want to,
do you want a
wanna-
motion?
okay. Motion?
I'll move approval of use of ARPA funds for the installation or the development of the zoning hub site for the town of Rome.
I'll second, have discussion.
Okay. We have a motion by Supervisor Capel and a second by Supervisor Cole for use of ARPA funds for the zoning hub site with Civitech Consulting LLC. Discussion?
We had previously approved this, but not, I have some questions since now we're using the funds about just some of the dollar amounts. And it's the same question about the payment, if that could be paying 1/2 now and balance upon completion as one point, is that possible?
That would be for the 3,900.
This is the zoning, the hub module at, $3,900, yeah.
Do the ARPA funds also include the $1,540 for the first annual subscription?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But that doesn't start until the zoning hub is completed.
So, is that Tim on the phone?
Yes.
Tim, would that be something that could be agreeable for the scope of services for the hub site? To split that, pay half now and half upon, the balance upon completion?
Did you say 100% upon completion or 50/50?
50/50.
That's typically how we do it, yes.
Okay, and then my next question would be, would it be possible to freeze the annual subscription rate at $1,540 for 3 years?
Yeah, we could do that easily, yeah.
Okay, and then my third question is, who signs off on this, that it is complete and that it's acceptable to go live? I mean, I'm thinking it might be Jamie and Attorney Flanagan and our zoning administrator, if we have one in place at that time. But I'm just wondering who signs off on this, that it is complete and acceptable?
whomever you would designate as the, you know, the final person, that's who we would work with.
So it's up to us. So Attorney Flanagan,
Just
can
a
you help
couple
us with
gen-
that?
Yeah, sure, a couple general thoughts on that. I think you could authorize, for example, the chairwoman or administrator to do that, and I would anticipate that that would be after a review at plan commission level to make sure that that would make sense as a body that would review that after next month, seeing the demo and being, kind of boots on the ground committee that handles that. And then once they give their blessing and we all review it, if you're comfortable in doing so, we can authorize either chairwoman or administrator to do the final sign off.
So with those ideas in mind, could this agreement be modified?
I think you could put that into your motion of the 50% down, 50% upon completion, frozen subscription for 3 years, that either the chairwoman or administrator would sign off after a review and approval of the plan commission.
What she said.
Of final completion of project.
Completion of the project.
Good.
And Tim, could you just remind us, once this is signed and sent back to you, this one will start right away, and so we're looking at approximately 3 to 4 months for this one to be completed?
Yes,
Yes,
I
okay.
said yes, we will start right away. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So you have those additions to the agreement? So we'll add those to the motion?
Yeah, and I think Bill would have to agree.
Yes.
You
To
were the
amendments?
first, and Jackie was
I
the
s-
second.
Yeah.
Yes. You agree to those amendments?
I agree to the changes.
And,
I agree to the changes.
okay, so we have amendments to the first and the second that we would, can you please run down that list? Because I did not write them down. Do you need them again, or are we good?
So,
All right.
approval of the agreement, approval of use of ARPA funds,
Yes.
with the understanding 50% down, 50% upon completion. Subscription fee this year comes out of ARPA to the 1540 and would be froze for 3 years. Chairwoman or administrator signs off after, recommendation from Plan Commission
Of
Perfect.
completion upon,
of completion
upon,
of project.
yes, great, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Item number 17, discussion and possible action. Approval of use of ARPA funds for the zoning code audit with Civitech Consulting LLC.
I move that we approve the use of ARPA funds for the zoning code audit with Civitech for $4,800 to be paid at the conclusion of the audit.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Bauerheit and a second by Supervisor Minter to use ARPA funds for the use of the zoning code audit with Civitech Consulting LLC. Discussion?
Are there sufficient funds for all of 3 of those?
Just gonna draw your attention to the last page of the memo, just showing the ARPA funds, expenses. It's marked to be determined depending on the outcome of these. You have $6,571.85 left of ARPA funds.
So we may need to add to it to reach
No,
4,800.
that's what's left after these
That's
two.
after. I took the 1540
That's after.
and the
Yep.
48,
Okay.
yep.
Fine.
She has it,
Alright.
yeah, on
If
the
you
list.
approve both expenses, you have
Okay. I see it
slightly
now.
over $6,500 left.
Got it.
I would just add that the amount is not to exceed $4,800, so it's possibly less.
Right.
We like less, Tim.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Tim. That was all the agenda items. You're welcome to stay on the phone, but if you hang up, we won't take it personally.
Thank you, Tim.
Just want to say thank you, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, we're looking forward to working with you as well, especially the Plan Commission.
Okay,
Thanks.
have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye. Item 18, Discussion and possible action, consideration of proposals received for the town hall landscaping. Do we want a motion and a second on this, or do we wanna? Set those aside and discuss this item this evening? You wanna set aside Robert's rules and just discuss this item?
If you're willing to set aside the Robert's rules to discuss, I just have some questions on exactly what we're getting for the $12,000. Because
A
I
little bit more
can't
of a,
quite figure out.
There's a diagram at the back.
I know, but, but his quote just talks about mulching and installing rock or other
Oh.
bark. Doesn't mention anything about the plants. But the drawing has plants on it, and his letter talks about plants.
True.
So, are we getting plants?
There would be plants included. I don't believe that there is a specific listing of what those plants would be.
But they're included in the 12,755.
and I do know we kind of discussed last time that we were looking for more natural, self-sustaining type plants that didn't need a lot of care and upkeep, like prairie grasses and,
I'll go another direction and comment that walking in today, I looked in front of the buildings and it looks as though someone has spent considerable time cleaning everything up, pulling the
looks
weeds, getting out the scrawny looking plants that were in there. So thank you to whoever did that.
yes.
And I'm all in favor of beautiful landscaping and plants, but to spend $12,000 on this project right now, with all the things we've got going on, and the same people that maintain our roads and would do all of that work would be pulled from that job to maintain these planting beds. Because as much as you can say things are self-sustaining, every plant, every perennial you put in the ground is going to need tending to and trimming and taking care of and weeding. So I just think to me, it's not necessary to do this right now.
I think Supervisor
Yeah, Madam
Bartlett?
Chairman, I would submit that we could trim this proposal back and have them re-estimate it. I don't see the need to do it in front of the fire department and even in front of the community center here. The walkway leading up to the building, certainly, and across the front of the offices that we have here would be good. And I think that's what people notice the first anyway.
You mean the little memorial garden where
The walkway leading into the
Yeah.
building here and then in front of the offices along here.
Would you be open to this maybe now that we have a design, but I'm halfway through my thought, I like the design and the layout. I happen to agree with Supervisor Minter. I would have liked a little bit more explanation on what each of those items cost us, but you're right, Supervisor Cole, that even if it's self-sustaining, at some point it's still gonna need care, and we're running a little low on staff, and we need to, look at getting more staff at some point.
They're even proposing that they landscape in front of the old police building, which is kind of out of our general traffic area too.
Right, and yeah. Additional thoughts? Is there any thought on maybe how do people feel about that thought? Don't all speak at one time.
I think cleaning up the area that I'll describe as when you walk in that circle where we have some of the metal cutouts with the
Soldier by the flag.
soldiers, that area, there are some nice plants in that area, but that's an example of things just not being thinned out. There's daylilies in there and sedums in there, so that's your summer and fall plants. If they were kind of cleaned up, that could probably look nice. And I think you said there were marigolds that someone is generous to take their time and plant and take care of out there.
Fran spends her own
Fran.
money every year and buys those
So-
marigolds and waters them, yes.
I mean, it looks okay, but that could look better, and that, I think, out of respect, if you're gonna have cutouts of, military personnel, you'd want that area to look nice. So, I mean, I'd be in favor of just doing nothing and improving what we have, or even getting some help from some master gardeners or citizens. rather than spending the money to do it.
I'd be curious to know what it would cost if we just cut the project back to just include the walkway in front of the offices here in the building.
Well, since I did set aside Robert's Rules of Order, I will allow you to speak. You want to come up and give us your name and address, please? You have 3 minutes.
Mark Lebecki, 931 Sussex Court. If I'm not mistaken, when Brad Martinson brought up the need for a change out there, he'd mentioned that the existing landscaping was damaged by snowplow. And since then, we've been talking about plantings and bark and maybe some small rocks. And I'm not sure that serves the purpose that Mr. Martinson was looking for. I could be wrong. Thank you.
The snow plow did catch the landscape fabric on this end of the building this winter, but we did work to try and even that back out. It happens, the plow caught the corner of it when they were plowing the parking lot. But that did disrupt the rock on this side, but we have tried to level it back out and to put the fabric back down as best as possible.
Are we, okay, based on the comments we have received, are we open to having, to move this along, are we open to having this particular company, since they're the only ones that did respond, are we open to having them resubmit a bid just for the portion along our front walk and the front of our office buildings? Sending, and with more specifics, with greater specifics or specificity, or are we open to that? Or do we just wanna drop this issue for now and maybe possibly wait till next spring, since we're getting into fall?
I'm open to that.
Open to waiting till next
No.
fall, did I say? I meant spring. I know the seasons are going, we're coming up on fall, and I'm
When you
thinking
look at-
spring.
When you look at planting native plants, you either, two best times to put them in are either in the fall, because then they go dormant for the winter and they come
Right.
back in the spring, or really early in the spring. So if we're going to delay getting more prices on this, we probably need to put something back out there to them, like say in January, so that those plants can be ready to go in April, if that's the way.
I would be in favor of having it done in the fall. You could probably get a guarantee that the plants would overwinter. So then you'd be set for another whole growing season.
Okay.
But I would like to see more specifics in,
Mhm.
cut it back, like you suggested, to just the front area in front of the town hall, and the sidewalk there, and then get more specifics on what precisely is included. You know, and is bark cheaper than rock, or is bark better than rock? Bark's easier to pull the weeds out of.
Bark needs to be replaced
Bark
every,
needs to be
yeah,
replaced every
years.
couple
And it
of
draws
years.
You can use
ants.
rubber, you can use rubber bark and then it would be
Yeah,
there forever.
There's different types of bark, but that's just all getting into down the
that-
road.
Right.
I'm amenable to the scaled back request.
Scaled back, and, okay, so do we wanna withdraw, or do we wanna amend? Should we withdraw our motions and
We don't,
amend
we
them?
don't have a
We don't
motion.
have a motion.
Oh, I thought, oh, that's
No,
right, we went right to discussion.
Well,
Great.
I'll move that we resubmit, or we request from DCM Landscaping a scaled back quote for the area in front of the town hall and the walkway leading to the building, including a specific list of plants that would be included and the type of ground cover.
Great.
Sounds
I'll
good.
second it.
Great. We have a motion by Supervisor Minter, a second by Supervisor Bauerheit for a scaled-down proposal from DCM Landscaping for the front of the town hall and the main walkway into the town hall. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Item number 19, discussion and possible action. Consideration of completing a bid for pavement replacement of 14th Avenue south of Alpine Drive to Northwater Trail, utilizing unspent proceeds from the Series 2023A general obligation borrowing. Jamie, as long as the rules are set aside, we'll continue on that path and let you speak.
So there was a memo in the packet along with an accounting for what would be remaining from our unspent bond proceeds. The project did come in under budget for Apache Avenue from State Highway 13 to County Road Z. You can see the total cost there was $1,080,999.34. Our bond proceeds were $1,388,563.57, so we have $307,564.23 remaining. I did put in the memo that our bids earlier this year came in at about $330,000 per mile. We did get asphalt for the Apache project from a temporary plant that was based out of Hancock that is taken down now for the season. So they might not be, when we take out a bid, quite as good as they were, but American did say that they could likely still get another mile. This would be slightly under a mile paving done yet this year if we wanted to take out a bid and see what it would come back at. I do think if that bid was completed, we would also put, knowing what we knew from Apache, something in there about the option about the base course underneath, because we did have enough base course on Apache where we could, if there was, after that road was milled enough that we could save that cost for additional base course being brought down without having to come back and having the board have to make that determination like previous. That would keep the project moving forward so it could be paved before November 1st.
Jamie, I was confused as to why we are awaiting an invoice from the state from 8th to 10th Avenue. Was that for engineering?
It's not for engineering. That project was bid through the state. So we, although that was a grant project, we never received those grant funds. The state organized all of that and paid those bills. And so when it's, the state will bill us for our 20% portion. We have
okay.
received
All
some
right, that
billing
explains
to
it.
state, but that's why we're still waiting for that. I think I also put in here that we still would have some costs associated with the engineering for Apache Avenue
For
from
the cul-
10th to State Highway 13 for that road being slightly wider so we can add that bike lane and for the expansion of that culvert.
Okay.
We did get bids back on that. Brad wanted to go through them in depth before he brought them back to town board, so I would expect those to be brought forward very shortly.
You had put in here 8th to Highway 13th. And I went back through the minutes, it did show that we were looking for 3. If I remember here, it said 3 estimates for the project from 3 different engineering firms for the road culvert and path. Because the path was only gonna go so far and we were gonna make it wider over the culvert.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but
so-
that's 10th to State, no. We go,
10th to 13.
yeah, because we go 8th to 10th to 13.
Right. So, did he get all 3 of those then from 3 different firms?
I
Is
do
that what-
believe that he received 3, yes.
Okay.
What those 3 firms are, I couldn't confirm right now, but I do believe he received 3.
And will he have all of the, I know there was a certain type of DNR type of permitting, it was like a G, but he still wanted to go a certain route to have the culvert put in because he was enlarging it, that sort of thing. Are those
That would be
being
handled through
taken care of? Is
the
he moving
engineering.
through that process?
Yeah, it would be handled through the engineering.
So we'll be able to do this to get this piece done by next year, so then all of Apache will be complete.
That is the goal.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
We understand that being the goal, but that also, I mean, given what a cost of a mile has gone up to, that's why I throw that all into the consideration also with this, with those
Well,
unspent proceeds.
If we all had a glass ball, we wouldn't be able to, right. So, did we get any information on the LRIP grant? That was supposed to come in by July. We would know if we were approved for that or not.
The last I asked, we had not been approved for the LRIP.
So we won't get any grant monies from the state for that at all. And then the next cycle probably won't come up for what, another 3 years for LRIP, right?
That would be a Brett question, just to confirm.
Okay.
So back to this road, I'll ask the question if you don't know, it's fine, but what was the Pacer rating on this road and why was this section of road picked to be replaced?
believe the Pacer rating on this is a 6.
Okay.
It might be slightly higher when you get further down to Northwater because that road kind of, it widens, it almost has like a cul-de-sac feel even though it goes into the South Lake Center. That might be a slightly higher than a 6, but the majority of it is a 6.
But
And
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, I thought you were done, I'm sorry.
And just select it based off of the deterioration, particularly along that road edge.
Okay.
But that was the 2021 rating, so based on
Yes.
what we just went through, if he was to rate that road this year, we'll be lucky if that road would make it through the winter. Because they've already patched it how many times?
I don't know how many times they've patched it, but
And
they
there
did
was-
patch it again this year.
And we took that on our tour, it
Right.
goes right by the church, and it's in pretty bad shape, so we know if it's gonna be a bad winter, they'll probably pull out most of the patching. So that's why it was suggested, and I had asked them to look at this and see if it was possible to get this in yet this year, so that's why it's before us, because it's in worse shape.
Okay, thank you.
I was pleased with the savings that we realized on the other road, that we were able actually to put it into the thickness, and even with the testing, that we had a thicker road, we didn't have to use as much base, and now if we could just keep the gravel off of it, it would be nice. But,
I move that we authorize the request for bids for the project on, what's that road name? 14th Avenue, south of Alpine to Northwater Trail.
I'll second the motion.
all right, we have a first by Supervisor Minter and a second by Supervisor Bauerheit to consider to go for bids for the pavement replacement of 14th Avenue south of Alpine Drive to Northwater Trail, utilizing unspent proceeds from the Series 2023 A General Obligation Borrowing. Discussion? All right, I just have some questions then. So now will Brad be coming back to our next meeting in order to us to get some specifics together for those bids, or will he just now take that straight to the bidding process and put that together?
He would take that straight to the bidding process. He would put that together and put it out and see what we would get back for bids. Then it would come back to town board to review what we received. I should note, or we should discuss before we would act, one, I think there was a comfort level that if the base wasn't needed, so he would write that into the bid, and thickness. So we did our various road projects at 2.5 inches, and would we be comfortable with a 2.5 inch on this road for thickness?
I think we should probably specify if we could make those amendments to our motion that we'd have 2.5-inch pavement. But Jamie had advised about the base, that if we find that the base is stable enough that we can reuse some of that it saves us some money. But there were some other things I would want to add in then, if he's gonna go straight to the bid and not bring that sample bid back to us before it goes out. That we say according to state specs like we had in the past, lowest responsible bidder. Also that we would use Quest Engineering again, because that was actually ended up being less than it was before. That they do the nuclear and core testing like they had in the past and watch the product as it's being laid. Because I think that's definitely worth the little bit of extra money to ensure the product that we're getting. And there was one other thing that I know that Brad had expressed at one meeting, and I know Supervisor Capel had shared with him during a discussion, that it was something that he said that we could add to a bid. And he thought it was a good idea, and I would really like us, for the life of me, I can't remember it right now, and I wish Brad was here to discuss that with us. But I think it would be important to follow up on that, but maybe we could talk about that at a later time, that he get that in that bid process. I don't know if it was another type of guarantee or something that he said that would definitely be a good idea to do that, from something that we had learned from a past project. So are you willing?
State specs, lowest qualified bidder, Quest testing, and if we can remember the item that came up previously.
It was something that, and Brad had agreed, and he said, yeah, that's really good, we should get it in our bid process from now on.
Yeah.
and we discussed it, and I
The
couldn't
only
find
thing I
it.
had asked about it that I recall was penalties, and he said that that would cost us more
It
than it
wasn't
might be worth.
penalties, it was, but we'll find it, but we'll talk about it. But if we can get those things in, it was nuclear and core testing through Quest, lowest responsible bidder, and then according to state specs for the, so if Supervisor Minter is willing to amend, I'll amend my second.
I'll amend the motion to include those provisions, that Brad be instructed to include those provisions as noted in the bid that goes out, request for bids that goes
Okay.
out.
Including the
I'll
2.5 inches, yeah.
I'll second those revisions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the first and a second has been amended to include those revisions. Any more discussions or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Item number 20, the board may go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute Section 19.85 Sub 1 Sub C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. For the consideration of the Rome Water Utility Operator in Charge compensation. Need a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Supervisor Bauerheit, a second by Supervisor Cole, that we go into closed session under Wisconsin State Stat, Section 1985, Sub 1, Sub C, for the consideration of the Rome Water Utility Operator in Charge compensation. I need a roll call vote, starting on my left.
Capel, yes.
Minter, yes.
Jumati, yes.
Cole, yes.
Bauerheit, yes.
Okay, we'll go into closed session.
Madam Clerk, will you just note the time is 6:12 PM that we're going into closed session? It's just my mouse, so I can grab it. Thank you.
I know I've got that somewhere.
It's really cute, isn't it?
Our own plaques, and then they'd be consistent.
The item, the people you get.
I was gonna hear from
grants
you.
do that.
No, it is. Okay, I'm a 5-year resident of this town. You're a 50-year resident of this town. I learn a lot from this.
Thanks for using WebEx. Visit our website at www.webex.com.
No. I'm just feeling really lucky I actually didn't break my arm when I fell, because I landed right, I put my left arm down to break my fall. Sure. Yeah. Definitely a broken arm doing it seriously.
For a party here. I think I'll go.
Should I name him, or should I simply say the operator in charge and training?
I would probably just leave it at operator in charge.
Okay, no name, okay.
So, 6:45.
Thought we were doing good those.
So, all right, item 21, the board reserves the right to enter into open session authorized by Wisconsin State Statute, Section 1985, Sub 2, to possibly take action from the closed session and continue with the agenda. Need a motion?
I'll move we go back into open session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes, section 19.85, subparagraph 2.
I'll second the motion.
Who wants it? Okay. I have a motion by Supervisor Capel and a second by Supervisor Minter that we go back into open session authorized by Wisconsin State Stat, Section 1985, Sub 2, to take action from the closed session and continue with the agenda. Discussion? All right, roll call vote, starting on my left.
Capel, yes.
Minter, yes.
Jumati, yes.
Cole, yes.
Bauerheit, yes.
6:46 PM.
Right, and we need a motion.
I move that in response to the letter received regarding pay for the Rome Water Utility Operator in Charge in Training, that we offer the person an additional $1 per hour beyond the wage that he was earning on August 17th, 2023.
I'll second the motion.
Right. We have a motion by Supervisor Minter and a second by Supervisor Bauerheit that we increase the operator in charge wage to $1,
Yeah, an additional dollar.
an additional $1. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Dates and items for future agenda and meetings. Item 22.
Madam Chair, just one general note for you all, and also we'll communicate it to the requesters on that special assessment. It sounds like with the timing and what the Tribune can get published for us, we probably will be able to make that next meeting. So we will be able to process that timely. We will work as hard as we can to make sure that this is processed without delay.
That would be good. Thank you. Okay. Item 22, next agenda items. Starting on my left.
I have a question prior to asking for an item. Can I do that?
Question on
The
what?
question is whether or not there was a resolution by the town board for a well in the Rome Town Center.
Well, you could put that as a next agenda item, maybe, if you want to review it as an issue.
Well, I guess I want to discuss the well. I want to discuss its future use. I want to discuss how we came about disconnecting from the Rome water utility.
I think we better put that as a next agenda item.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you could probably.
That was my
address that
question.
As the larger part, and then
So,
some of that background can come as
okay.
Okay.
packet information.
I'd like to discuss the well at our next agenda.
Just for clarity, there are three. There are 3 wells in Rome Town Center.
There's 3 wells,
There are
Yes.
3,
and they were all authorized
Yes,
yes. Well, there
by
is
the
one.
Rome Town Board.
yes. And they're reported on
And then
as,
okay, then
In
I
total-
want to see the,
Prior to our time. I mean,
in
there-
total, they're
Okay,
reported on as
okay,
high.
guys, wait a minute. This will be a next agenda item.
okay, but then
Next
background
agenda item.
information for that, for my purposes, please.
I know we have one by the gazebo for those that care, and one in the roadway to keep the water, the sign. So next agenda item.
Well, and the reason I brought it
Next
up is because we were sitting there at the last meeting, and I heard that we broke the sprinklers when we were sinking a well,
Okay.
and I didn't remember any authorization for a well.
We can talk about it next meeting.
Thank you. No, good, Okay, so good agenda item, we'll get as much information as we can on a well. Alrighty, anybody else?
I don't know if this is for our next agenda item or for like a future close agenda item. How's Chief doing on his coursework? I don't think we've had any update recently.
Okay. Made a note.
That's the fire chief?
Yeah.
I also have a couple.
And do we have the audit yet?
The audit will be on the next agenda. I have that right here. Amber will be here in person. I do have your audit books if you would like to receive it tonight, but you have to make sure you bring it back to the next meeting then.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Anything else?
Um,
Okay, so
we-
we have a well, the fire chief, we have an audit.
We have our annual library resolution because we
Oh, yeah.
facilitate our own library. We have to do an annual resolution about non-participation within the county library system, so that'll be on the next meeting. We want to have that culvert review from those bids taken come back, and we have a draft amendment to ordinance regarding noise amplification off of recreational equipment that the police chief would like us to consider and town attorney has reviewed, so we could bring back that language for consideration. Or bring forth, not back, but forth that language for consideration.
All right. Was there anything coming back?
Does it take into consideration the band shell?
It looks like we
No,
got
no,
everything.
I think this is for boats.
Okay.
Yeah, off of,
It's more
Apparently they're quite
residential
loud.
type issue?
No,
Recreational equipment.
Oh, okay.
all right. Anything else?
Yeah, Madam Chairman, you and I had a discussion the other night on the phone about how we administer the dead timber and brush ordinance, and people who are in violation and continue to be in violation, and who is responsible now that our zoning administrator is gone for handling that operation. So if nothing else, we need to have a meeting offline, maybe a subcommittee meeting, to decide how we're gonna have this done between the fire department and the police department, and then bring something to the board at some point in time that we could reauthorize.
I think what might be, we did have a conversation, and I was explaining to Supervisor Bauerheit, so we could bring this up at the next agenda. We could have an explanation of the CSO officer, maybe have a review of that job description and how that plays a role in nuisance code violations for dead brush, shed violations and those types of things, so people understand how that works and how those letters are now served and how people have to follow up and how that plays a role in it now that the boating season's coming to an end, and how that CSO officer is gonna be used, and maybe Chief Lowy can be here to help explain that as well. And maybe can the fire inspectors help play a role in or if Chief Lowy feels that his officers can handle all of that, which maybe possibly they can now that boating season's over, and maybe some of those part-time officers can help with that.
I think
Because that nuisance, I'm sorry, but I was just gonna add, I had shared with Supervisor Bauerheit that nuisance, which is what dead brush falls under, is outside of the zoning code, which would fall under the CSO officer in some respects, so.
we can bring back that piece about the CSO officer for the next meeting. And I would prefer that chief would be available, so that would be the only reason why it wouldn't be on the next meeting.
Unless
fine.
unless he would prefer to do it offline in a smaller meeting too, and then two of us could meet and bring it all back to the board so everybody understands. We could do it that way too. Whatever works with everybody's schedules, because the end of August and early September is looking pretty crowded, so. We'll talk about it and we'll set something up.
Good.
Anything else? Okay, I think we got it. Just, I did actually talk to, but I just didn't get the whole email fired off yet because it was in the midst of typing, so there you go. We're good? All right, next meeting date and time.
It will be September already, September 7th, 2023 at 5 o'clock. Just a friendly reminder too, just to look at those important dates that we have upcoming. Next week, Friday, would be the board retreat.
Yes, everybody got a tentative agenda, and we've got some speakers lined up for some of those items, and we'll shore that up and get it posted, and you may get some additional information. Alrighty then, meeting adjourned.
6:55 PM.
Oh, just quick note, fun note. Is Culver's out of anybody's purview for lunch, or do you need something healthy?